History Spotlight, brought to you by HEC Media and the Missouri Historical Society.
Hello, I'm Dr. Jody Sowell, president of the Missouri Historical Society in St. Louis, and this is History Spotlight. The Missouri School for the Blind has been a trailblazer in education for visually impaired students since its inception in 1851. They have pioneered many innovative techniques and technologies to facilitate learning. K-12 Programs Coordinator Emily Kelso shares how the school pushed boundaries to ensure equal access to education for their students.
Before the mid-1800s, people who were blind or had low vision had no options for education if their families could not afford to provide tutors or private instruction in their home. It wasn't until 1847 that the Missouri State Legislature authorized $80 per year for the education of blind youth who could not afford a private education. With a lifetime cap of $160 per person, this was enough for only 2 years of schooling. So, in early 1851, the Missouri Legislature appointed a committee to inquire into the feasibility of educating blind children more fully. Meanwhile, Mr. Eli William Whelan arrived in St. Louis in fall of 1850. Mr. Whelan was a blind man and the former superintendent of the Tennessee Institution for the Blind. He arrived with letters of introduction to several prominent citizens, including Dr. Simon Pollack, an ophthalmologist. Mr. Whelan and Dr. Pollack formed an association of 20 clergymen and philanthropists. Together, they planned to create a charitable institution and apply for state support when they had established their credentials. So Mr. Whelan began with 2 pupils, 14-year-old Elizabeth Taylor from St. Louis and 7-year-old Daniel Wilkinson from Cape Girardeau. Mr. Whelan taught these 2 students for several weeks in his boarding house in downtown St. Louis. He then took them to Jefferson City to demonstrate their progress and to ask for state aid. Both Elizabeth and Daniel were talented intellectually and musically, and their accomplishments persuaded the legislature to authorize the founding of the Missouri Institution for the Education of the Blind, which formally opened on November 1st, 1851. Over the next 160 years, MSB was supervised by various state departments before the Missouri Department of Education took over in 1921, where it remains today. The board of directors at the Missouri School for the Blind were not done innovating, however. In the late 1850s, Dr. Pollack introduced a new European system for teaching blind children how to read and write, named after its inventor, Louis Braille. In 1860, the Missouri School for the Blind became the first, and for many years only, school in the United States to use Braille to teach students how to read and write. And in 1865, music teacher Henry Robin created the first Braille printing press in the United States for use at the school. All of these achievements make the Missouri School for the Blind one of the most innovative and important educational institutions in U.S. history.
Next week on History Spotlight, we dive into St. Louis blues music.
To learn more about the Missouri Historical Society, visit mohistory.org.